Hi, I'm Tom Brookshire.
And I'm Pat Summerall. Now that 1/3 of the season is in the records, I think it's safe to make some generalizations about the way things are going. And one generalization that comes to mind is that this year, like every other year, you just can't predict what's going to happen from week to week.
Well, wait a minute, Pat. We've been right 5 times and wrong 7 times. So I guess you're right about unpredictability. Another generalization that occurs to me is there are a lot of 100-yard rushers this year.
That's true, Tom. There were 7 of them last week, including 1 quarterback, if you can believe it. And there were 2 running backs on the same team who each had 150 yards or more. That's the first time it's ever happened.
Well, those zone defenses and perhaps our old friends, those ever-loving hash marks, are partly responsible for that. We'll see all those 100-yard runners. We'll have the best of the week, and, of course, we'll make our daring selections of winners in this week's big games.
You know, last week I took a lot of razzing because I said the New York Giants were beginning to take on the look of a contender. And then I took a lot more razzing when I picked them to beat the 49ers in San Francisco. Well, now, all ye of little faith, you just watch this.
The New York football Giants were in San Francisco for the first time since 1960, when Alex Webster was a Giant running back, and Dick Nolan was a Giant defensive back, and Pat Summerall was the Giant place kicker. None was as fast as number 22, Rocky Thompson. Oh, it was a little damp in San Francisco, but Thompson's 75-yard return set up a Pete Gogolak field goal. Another kickoff had even stranger results. Vic Washington was hit by, of all people, Pete Gogolak. Willie Williams picked up the loose ball and took it in for an apparent touchdown, but the play had already been blown dead by what was later termed an inadvertent whistle. Sorry about that, Willie. Williams' lost touchdown was equalized somewhat when Ron Johnson was ruled over the goal line before he fumbled to Bruce Taylor. In all, there were 8 official fumbles in the game. This one from Charlie Evans to Johnny Fuller set up a 49er field goal. Despite all the fumbles and weird play on Candlestick's soggy carpet, there were flashes of the way the 49ers used to play football. Twice, John Brody hit Gene Washington for touchdowns. Washington now has totaled more than 3,000 yards and receptions in just over 3 years in the league. The sun came out for Brody's second touchdown pass, and everything looked rosy for the 49ers, who led 17-13 with 6.5 minutes left to play. Pete Gogolak's third field goal cut the lead to 1 point, and then came the biggest play of the game. 49er receiver Preston Riley fell down, and Giant cornerback Pete Athas had an easy interception. With only 1:34 to play, Norm Snead handed to Charlie Evans, and suddenly the Giants led 23-17. Alex Webster, Dick Nolan, Pat Summerall, and all those guys I used to play against would have known how to celebrate a big win. Charlie Evans and the new Giants might need a little more practice. With only 38 seconds left, Brody dropped back to pass for the last time. An ankle injury forced Brody out, and it was Steve Spurrier who threw the last pass of the game. Pete Athas had his second interception and the only 2 in the game. More important, the Giants had won their 3rd straight and now are only 1 game behind in the NFC East.
Just across the bay from that giant upset of the 49ers, the Buffalo Bills and the Oakland Raiders were embroiled in another cliffhanger.
And Pat, I know the Raiders are a second-half football team, but last week they turned around just in time.
Once again, the Jekyll and Hyde Award of the week goes to the Oakland Raiders for their half-dull, half-hair-raising game with the Buffalo Bills in Oakland. At the outset, the Bills' defense, led by number 82 Al Cowlings, overrode the Raiders, securing field goal position, which led to a 6-0 lead. Then Buffalo's offense and Dennis Shaw took a hand as Shaw hit J.D. Hill on a 39-yard pass play for a 13-0 lead. When Darryl LaMonica's pass was intercepted by Alvin Wyatt, the first half ended and Oakland was still not on the scoreboard. O.J. Simpson gained 144 yards and 28 carries. But starting the third period, yardage became costly as the Raiders began to close in. Finally, the Mad Bomber balanced his sights long enough to find Ray Chester streaking to complete a 55-yard touchdown play. And LaMonica came back to Chester early in the fourth period, setting up a 1-yard touchdown run by Marv Hubbard, making it Raiders 14, Bills 16. LaMonica continued his hot hand, rallying the Raiders, a.k.a. the Pride and Poise Boys, as managing general partner Al Davis likes to call his team. An interference call set up this go-ahead 8-yard touchdown sweep by Clarence Davis. When Buffalo failed to convert a fourth down pass at their own 20-yard line, Clarence Davis bolted over a second time just 2 plays later from 20 yards out. And the Pride and Poise Boys had hung in the fire one more time without being burned, this time winning 28-16.
Last week in Cleveland, the Bears met the Browns, and Chicago finally dropped from that ever-dwindling list of winless teams.
Last Sunday, the Cleveland Browns took the field as favorites over the Bears. However, Mr. Bear himself, Dick Butkus, soon set the record straight. And Bobby Douglas made one of his only 2 completions count as he hit Earl Thomas, number 82, for 1 score. While his passing game was anemic, Douglas' rushing game was robust as he carried 10 times for 115 yards. In the end, Big Bad Bobby's 57-yarder iced the victory for the Bears. Their first this year and the first time the Browns have been shut out since 1965. Bears 17, Browns nothing.
Well, as we said, it really has been an unpredictable season so far, Pat, but there's no better evidence than a certain powerhouse in the NFC Central Division, which lost 3 of its first 4 games.
I don't know where it's all going to end, Tom. Last week, the lowly Denver Broncos tried to lay some more grief on the once invincible Purple people.
On the surface, the Denver Broncos look the same, but this season they have gone through a re-indoctrination period with new head coach John Ralston. Ralston believes in the emotional aspect of the game. Even joins his kickoff team in the pregame huddle. The rookie head coach from Stanford is determined to build a winner on his own terms, but it is unlikely that he faced a team in college like the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings defense came out breathing fire, a direct result of the team's unsightly 1-3 record. They gave Fran Tarkington plenty of field position, and the Minnesota offense plodded along true to form. Number 30, Bill Brown, set up 1 touchdown, and Fred Cox kicked 3 field goals for the 16 points. Minnesota used to be able to win with 16 points. But Denver began getting the ball to a man who was born to test tough defenses. Number 44, Floyd Little, took a flare pass 32 yards for Denver's first score, and suddenly, the fabled Purple People Eaters did not seem quite so invincible. Little directly challenged Minnesota's strength and came up with 100 tough yards and 3 touchdowns. Little's performance gave Denver the emotional edge that Ralston seeks, and the Bronco defense responded. Rookie Tom Graham, number 83, picked up on Dave Osborne's error as Denver put on fourth quarter pressure. Then number 12, Charlie Johnson, added another element to the Bronco attack by passing to Rod Sherman, number 84, with time running out. Less than a minute remained when Little sliced in for his 3rd touchdown and a 20-16 lead. Ralston's sky-high Broncos were sure they had just delivered Minnesota loss number 4. The Vikings had only 22 seconds to score, but Fran Tarkington was finally ready with the big play everyone has been expecting from him all season. Number 84, Gene Washington, gathered in his 31-yard touchdown, and the Vikings were home free with a hairy 23-20 victory. The usually stoic Vikings knew how close they had come to total demise. But with a 2-3 record in the tough Central Division, they still have a long way to go before they're declared fit and healthy once again.
In Baltimore, it seems that the deeds of a legend and his legendary team have finally become yesterday's glories.
Following in the familiar crab steps of their legend, the Baltimore Colts came out possessing a very unfamiliar losing record. Though 4 weeks had produced but 1 victory, the Colt linebackers remained an unmatched triumvirate. Ray May, number 56, still blew in hard and fast from the right side. And number 83, Ted Hendricks, still tried to turn setbacks into headless horsemen. In the middle, Mike Curtis still read and reacted to the quarterback's eyes. But while the defense clings fast to their legendary greatness, it is on offense where the legend has withered. John Unitas probes and picks like a master, but the Colts have lost the master's touch. For Dallas, the answer to Unitas was the doomsday defense, led by tackle Jethro Pugh, number 75. Whether it was sacking Unitas or tracking down the screen man, Pugh plastered every man wearing Baltimore blue. Through 5 weeks now, the staunch Dallas defense has allowed but 3 touchdowns, and it's been their excellence that has kept alive championship dreams. The conservative Cowboy offense was triggered by the quick bursts of Walt Garrison, number 32, and Calvin Hill, number 35. Hill scored the first 2 Dallas touchdowns, the second coming on a zone-splitting pass by quarterback Craig Morton. Only once did Baltimore penetrate the Dallas 20, but they were denied a score when Unitas illegally batted his fumble into the Cowboy end zone. Dallas won the argument and the game as Craig Morton capped the Cowboys' 4th victory in 5 games by finding Ronnie Sellers unattended in the end zone. For Dallas, their 21-0 victory was an easy stepping stone to their summit meeting this week with the Washington Redskins.
While the Cowboys were winning in Baltimore, their chief rivals, the Washington Redskins, were having an easy time in St. Louis.
After their big win over the Vikings, Pat, the Cardinals saw their hopes in the NFC East founder against the rugged Washington Redskins.
In St. Louis, the slogan found early wings as the Cardinals' defense pointed to stop Washington's 2 main threats, Sonny Jurgensen and setback Larry Brown, number 43. The Big Red whiplashed Larry Brown, and cornerback Miller Farr was right in stride for Jurgensen's buggy whip bomb. St. Louis knew they had to run to win, so they ran on the rugged burst of the former Packer Palomino Donnie Anderson. But the cagey Redskins caught on, and their front 4 ran circle games that broke down Gary Quazzo's protective pocket. Once Quazzo met tackle Bill Brundage, number 77. And then he was kissed hello by Verlin Biggs and Manny Sistrunk. Backed by their resolute defense, the Redskins turned loose Larry Brown. Brown gained over 100 yards rushing for the 4th time this season and was a valuable outlet receiver for Jurgensen. A soaring touchdown by Larry Brown's blocking back Charlie Haraway gave Washington a 10-0 lead at the half. Quazzo attempted to bomb the Cardinals back into the game in the second half, but Washington's rubber band defense snapped shut on Walker Gillette, who was covered short by Rosie Taylor, number 22, and deep by Pat Fisher, number 37. Number 2 field general Billy Kilmer aired out a knuckleball throw that Jerry Smith saved with an acrobatic catch. Aided by 4 Kurt Knight field goals and 3 touchdowns, 2 by Charlie Haraway, the Redskins won 33-3. This week brings Dallas and a showdown in the NFC East.
The Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints have battled for all the honor in Dixie 7 times, including last week.
Surprised me, Pat, to find out the Saints have won only once, and that was in their first meeting back in 1967.
In New Orleans, 2 Southern country cousins had their backfields in action long before the Saints and the Atlanta Falcons took the field. On the first play, the character of the game was established. The Saints' Joe Williams fumbled, Greg Brzezina recovered, and the Falcons were in charge deep in New Orleans territory. But 3 plays later, Art Malone, hit by Richard Neal, fumbled, and rookie Ernie Jackson controlled it at the 15. With an open field in front of him, he dashed 85 yards to a 7-0 Saints advantage. On the ensuing kickoff, Willie Germany fumbled. Ray Hester recovered on the Falcon 19, and 6 plays later, Archie Manning sneaked 3 yards to a 14-0 lead with 9 minutes remaining in the first period. But after that, the Saints offense slipped flat on its back on the sun-soaked mud sod. With 52 seconds still in the first quarter, Bob Berry completed a 48-yard drive in 8 plays, pitching 10 yards to Jim Mitchell for the Falcons' first score. But frustrated by 5 fumbles lost, the Falcons could not click again until late in the third quarter, when Wes Chesson caught one for 17 yards from Bob Berry and caught another for his trouble from a sticky rookie safety named Tom Myers. Berry capped the 80-yard drive in 8 plays, going once again to his tight end Jim Mitchell, tying the game at 14. In the final period, the Falcons slipped into the lead as Berry found Ken Burrow for a 23-yard decision maker. For the day, Berry was 16 of 26 for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns in a tougher than expected 21-14 Falcon triumph.
Well, the Saints came close, but now it's just New Orleans and Philadelphia who have yet to win a game.
Last week against the Los Angeles Rams, the Eagle fans spent yet another frustrating Sunday.
Philadelphia Eagle fans are not known for their patience. And this season, they've had reason for somber looks and a stern countenance. But some Eagle fans have found reason to laugh optimistically. And some have even found reason to applaud and cheer. The reason they cheer is because they're sure rookie quarterback John Reeves will find a way to work things out. But last week against the Los Angeles Rams, John Reeves wasn't able to move his team anywhere. This juggling interception by number 19 Jim Nettles set up the Rams' first touchdown, a 1-yarder by Willie Ellison. Then number 79, Coy Bacon, stormed in and helped force a Reeves fumble, which Bacon recovered and would set up another Los Angeles score. The now harried Reeves began to force the issue, but nothing eluded the Ram defense. From deep in his own territory, Roman Gabriel began to go to his receivers. On this play, he lofted a beautifully timed pass to number 13, Lance Rensel, good for 33 yards. And then an Eagle piling on penalty added 15 yards to that. On the very next play, Gabriel went to number 49, John Love, who was uncovered in the end zone and whose touchdown put the Rams up 27-3. Eagles countered by replacing the rookie Reeves with veteran Pete Lisk, number 14. The difference was hardly noticeable. Rams recovered, and on the next play, number 45 Jim Bertelson swept in for the final score, which made it Rams 34, Eagles 3. For Philadelphia fans, players, coaches, and management, it's been a long season already with 5 losses in 5 games. Maybe it's true what Harold Jackson, number 29 of the Eagles, says, "We're all trying too hard." I know I am. Well, whatever the problem is, the Eagles will have a new one if they don't start winning soon, because 65,000 unhappy people can throw a lot of debris onto a football field.
Last week, a capacity crowd filled New England's Schaefer Stadium to witness Joe Namath's weekly aerial show. Instead, they saw the New York Jet infantry pass in review.
Last week, the brisk New England breezes were great for showing off flags in the pregame show. But gusts of 35 miles per hour posed a problem for exponents of wide-open football. A foremost exponent is number 12, Joe Namath, a pure passer who also proved to be mighty fine pure handoff man. Namath opened the game with 11 straight running plays, with number 32 Emerson Boozer and number 44 John Riggins rolling up the yardage. Riggins capped the drive to give the Jets a quick 7-0 lead. For the Patriots, brash young Jimmy Plunkett decided to challenge the wind with his cannon. The breezes seemed to bother New England's receivers more than its quarterback, so Plunkett also turned to the run. Number 30, Carl Garrett, high-stepped in, but with the game now a test of ground power, the Patriots were hopelessly outmatched. While Boozer juked his way for huge gains, Riggins blasted up the middle with 32 carries for 168 yards. Boozer was not as prolific, but almost as productive. On 18 carries, Boozer gobbled up 150 yards. Boozer blasted the Patriots clear out of Schaefer Stadium as the Jets rolled to an insurmountable lead. On this windy day, Joe Namath was content to play a supporting role, but he did sneak in one moment of glory. Number 88, Rich Castor, came up with Namath's one shot at the end zone, and then the Jets went back to proving they are more than the one-man team some experts think them to be. Fittingly, Emerson Boozer's third touchdown run of the afternoon closed out the game and a 41-13 New York victory. On a day when Joe Namath threw only 8 passes for 63 yards, the Jets still scored 41 points to stay within sight of the streaking Miami Dolphins.
In the AFC Central Division, the Pittsburgh Steelers stayed close to the Cincinnati Bengals in what looks like a season-long race to the title.
Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Bradshaw is smiling because the Steelers are in the thick of the AFC Central Division race and have a shot at their first division title in their history. An all-purpose Bradshaw has been a major factor in the Steeler title drive, but early in their game versus Houston, the Steeler drive gears were not meshing. The Oilers gushed first when Ward Walsh, number 32, blocked a Steeler punt, and then outraced his teammates for it in a 7-0 Houston lead. Houston's hopes ride on their fine young quarterback, Dante Pastorini, number 7, but he does not have the supporting cast that Bradshaw has. On this day, he could manage just 40 yards passing as the Steeler defense blanketed his receivers and ate up his pocket time. Five times the Steelers sacked Pastorini for minus 40 yards to set the Oilers' net passing yardage for the game at an even 0. The Oilers' only threat was number 39, Robert Holmes, and the tank was at his steels treaded best. The Steelers are much deeper at running back. Frenchie Fuqua, number 33, picked up 43 yards of a 60-yard drive that led to a Steeler field goal. Then first-round draft pick Franco Harris, number 32, carried 10 times for 46 yards of a 65-yard drive. Franco Harris had his first 100-yard day as a pro, capping it with a short touchdown plunge. Bradshaw then turned to his third starting running back. Bradshaw's 8-yard run was his 5th rushing touchdown of 1972. And his 11-yard pass to Frank Lewis, number 43, rounded out the Steelers' scoring. The Steelers' 24-7 victory over Houston kept them a game behind Cincinnati in the AFC Central Division, with a defense that did not allow a touchdown, and Bradshaw showing the way with his passing and running. That title may yet come Pittsburgh's way.
In the AFC Central, there's only one team that's been hotter than the Steelers, Tom.
And last week, the first-place Cincinnati Bengals battled another first-place team in Kansas City, or at least the Chiefs were in first before the ball game.
These two men had a lot to smile about last week. For one thing, each had a good young quarterback. Number 14 is 23-year-old Ken Anderson, the Bengals' second-year quarterback from Augustana College. Number 10 is 26-year-old Mike Livingston, the Chiefs' 5th-year quarterback from SMU and still undefeated as a pro. But on a quarterback sweep, Livingston pulled up lame, and 37-year-old Lynn Dawson had to return to battle. After a 3-3 first half, Dawson brought the Chiefs to life in the third quarter with his passes to Otis Taylor, number 89. In all, Taylor caught 10 passes for 149 yards, and he now leads the AFC with 28 receptions. Dawson sometimes needs extra time for Taylor to break loose, but when Dawson has the time, Taylor makes it worth the wait. Taylor's touchdown gave the Chiefs the lead at 10-3. But the Bengals retaliated with shocking suddenness when Ken Anderson flipped a short pass to Essex Johnson, number 19. Johnson's 65-yard shocker tied the game at 10-10, but there were more shocks to come for the Chiefs. Leading 13-10 early in the fourth quarter, Dawson passed to Dennis Homan, who was hit by Neil Craig and lost the ball to Tom Casanova, a rapidly emerging star in the Cincinnati secondary. Casanova's 33-yard return put the ball in position for Essex Johnson, who darted 16 yards closer to the Kansas City goal. From the 7, Ken Anderson sprinted right and hit Speedy Thomas for the touchdown, which put Cincinnati in front again, 17-13. On his next series, Anderson beat a blitz by Jim Lynch when he unloaded to wide receiver Chip Myers, number 25. Number 18, Emmett Thomas, saved a touchdown, but a Horst Muhlmann field goal made it 20-13. Then Dawson got in trouble again. This time it was number 52, backup middle linebacker Doug Adams, a free agent from Ohio State, who set up a third Muhlmann field goal. In the final minute, trailing by 7, Dawson 3 times connected with Mike Adamle, and the Chiefs had a last chance first down at the Cincinnati 8-yard line. From the 8, 4 passes were well covered by the AFC's top-rated defense. The Bengals had won what Paul Brown termed a great victory over a great team. "We've been rinky-dinks for 5 years," said Brown, "but they can't beat this team." One big reason the Bengals aren't rinky-dinks anymore is a young defensive line, which leads the NFL in getting to the passer. 22 times they have dumped the quarterback. Number 83, top draft choice Sherman White, has made a big difference. And then there is always Mike Reed, number 74. Watch Sherman White, number 83, force Dawson forward, where Mike Reed can get at it. Six times the Bengal rush reached Dawson, and 5 of those times it was Mike Reed who put him down. Despite constant double teaming, Reed continued to get through to the quarterback. In Paul Brown's great victory, no one played a greater role than defensive tackle Mike Reed, number 74.
A Pyrrhic victory is one that is gained at great expense to the victor. It's a sort of win the battle, lose the war type deal. Well, last week the Dolphins won the battle against the Chargers, but the loss of Bob Greasy may eventually cost Miami the war.
In Florida, the Miami fans love and emulate their Dolphins. And last Sunday, they packed the Orange Bowl 80,000 strong to watch their team go for its 5th win in a row. While the Dolphins are number 1 in Miami, they're also number 1 in all of pro football, as they are the only undefeated team left. Their success has been due in great measure to quarterback Bob Greasy, who last week against the Chargers came out firing. But early in the first quarter, Greasy suffered a possible season-ending injury when his leg was broken and his ankle dislocated. When it happened, Coach Don Shula said, "The mark of a good team is how it performs in adversity. And there can be no greater adversity than having your quarterback laid out there in front of you." In adversity, the Miami defense was superb as they manhandled the Chargers' John Hadle. In adversity, the defense was alert as Dick Anderson, number 40, grabbed a fumble and took it 35 yards for a score. In adversity, the Dolphin defense stopped everything the Chargers threw at them. But while the defense was great, the Miami offense was fantastic. The offensive line gave Earl Morrall, number 15, just about all day to throw, although at first he was a little rusty. But behind the perfect blocking protection of Larry Little and company, Earl spun a beauty to Howard Twilley, and in adversity, the Dolphins' offense came through. But Earl wasn't through, and standing ramrod straight in a cast iron passing pocket, he zipped another score to Paul Warfield, which gave Miami a 24-3 lead. With the game out of reach, John Hadel hit Sid Edwards for a Charger touchdown. But when Hadel got ideas of putting San Diego back in the game, the Miami defense, in the person of number 13, Jake Scott, vetoed the motion. There's no question that Miami will miss Bob Greasy a great deal. But as San Diego learned, the Dolphins are a very tough bunch when placed in an adverse situation.
Well, Pat, it seems that no matter what happens, the Dolphins just keep rolling along, and it's going to be a little tougher, you know, from now on. What about our best of the week, Pat?
You know, any one of those 100-yard rushers could have been the best of the week, Tom, but I think we had two linemen this week who deserve top honors.
One would have to be defensive tackle Mike Reed. 5 times Reed got to Lenny Dawson. He's super already, and he's still just learning the game.
And our other top candidate is a player who represents the entire Miami Dolphin offensive line, and that, of course, would be all-pro offensive guard Larry Little, number 66.
Of course, with Zonka and Kick and Mercury Morris, they can still rush the football, but now he's going to have to really set up and block for Earl Morrall, huh?
It's going to be a different kind of challenge because Morrall, no way, is going to be able to move around back there like Bob Greasy did.
Well, they're going to have to then move the ball on the ground and make sure that when Morrall does throw, it's going to be the right situation.
And it's going to put a little more heat on their defense, too, I'd imagine.
Okay, what about this week now in our great selections?
We haven't done so well. We're both 5 and 7. Let's make it quick.
All right, Atlanta at Green Bay. Boy, there's a great one.
Should be. I like Atlanta. They seem to be able to run the ball against almost anybody, and I remember what they did to Green Bay last year.
Van Brocklin's always good against Green Bay, too, but I'm going to go with the Packers. I picked them to beat Detroit, so I'll stay with the Pack.
All right, the big one at the Los Angeles Coliseum, Cincinnati and Los Angeles.
I saw the Rams beat the Eagles on films, and they are impressive, and they're hitting hard. I'll go with the Rams.
All right, Cincinnati's mine. Dallas, Washington.
The Redskins.
Okay, I'll go with Dallas. At any rate, we'll be back next week to show you what happens. I'm Pat Summerall.
And I'm Tom Brookshire. We'll see you next week.